Hi, my name is Danton Supple. I'm a producer, engineer and mixer, and we're now at my studio at Strongroom Studios. So over the course of my career, I've been very fortunate to work with a wide range of artists, going back to the Pet Shop Boys and Morrissey, Patti Smith, Coldplay, U2, Star Sailor, Dusty Springfield, Liza Minnelli, Tom Jones, some of these the more abstract names that all come in over the years. But with every artist, there's a huge amount that you learn in different aspects of the industry. My entry point was back in the days of where the only entry point really into studios was coming in as an assistant to an engineer. Because when I started at studios, there was one course, Tom Meister, that took you into the technical world of studios, and that was it. I think coming in with that technical background, for me, you know that they have a grounding in certain areas, and they'll have a grounding which is beyond what I had in that area. And also what you find is things which you've learned practically, the reason they work is because there's a technical reason for it. And in fact, although you didn't know the technical background, that makes sense of why you do something. Specified tasks is where it really becomes practical. I think when you're listening to a lot of things, you're trying to kind of think how they might apply. Once you get given a set of tasks to do, all those things become more relevant. And they all tie together. You realize that you've learned this bit, and that bit. But when you have a specified task, bits of all of those are how you get through it. And I think you'll find that with your day in any studio. This is a great thing, again, which courses like this facilitate, is they just empower the musicians. In the part, it was the musicians and it was the technicians. And those two things have been coming closer and closer ever since. And so now a lot of musicians I work with and artists are technically very able. And it's very rare now that I won't be using big chunks of demos, for instance, in final productions. I think the fact that even if you don't think of going into a technical future and you're a musician who's taken these courses to be sort of more enabled with the sort of apparatus of recording it, it's a huge skill to have, and it makes you much better. Even with vocalists, I was saying if they have a technical background, rather than just coming in and standing in front of a mic and it doesn't sound quite right, but they don't know how. As a vocalist, if you have an understanding of mics and how they kind of work and the route from that microphone to the recording thing, once you find something that works, you can then explain to producers and engineers. It empowers you. It's not just artists and technicians anymore. I think it is that combination which makes sessions much more creative. Never tie yourself down to working with one DAW, with a set of equipment. The great thing about this industry, there's so many different things to use. They all offer different ways of doing things. Just being on a different DAW, we'll jump between DAWs just to do different processing, or because they have a different feel to them, or they're just better at certain tasks. So familiarizing yourself with as many different DAWs is really useful. Also, if you're working as a freelancer, you don't know what the producer's standard DAW is. He might want to call you in and say, right, today you're on Ableton, So be familiar with as many as you can. There's a lot of things that are intrinsic to all of them, so it's just learning the little idiosyncrasies. And the same applies to gear. The more gear you can get your hands on and play with, the wider your kind of your toolbox becomes.